Hello everybody, hopefully you can hear me and see me. Hello, testing, testing. Is there anybody there? Low volume, okie dokie. I'll try and fix that, just a second. Is that better? Is that okay now? If I speak at this sort of level, is that okay? I think there may be a little bit of a delay or something. What's up, Rastaman, Rebecca? It's okay, you can hear me okay. Is that a thumbs up for okay? I think the actual internet is kind of pretty slow everywhere, I think, now, because everybody is at home, obviously, rather than working away, or they're all in their houses anyway. So good, it seems to be okay. So what we'll do, I will keep checking back in the chat and making sure that we've got everything right, but hopefully you can see the screen. Let me just turn that round a bit. And you'll be able to hopefully see the top corner of the picture there. I did have it adjusted, but I'll go back that way a bit. You can't actually tell whether you've got it in the right place until you actually hit the start button, to be honest. So we'll make sure we're not cutting anything off anyway before we make a start. And while we're doing that, there's a little bit of a delay, so it should be okay there. Yep, okie dokie. Right, so welcome everybody. Hope everybody is okay, bearing up with all the pressures of the mad world outside. It certainly is funny times we're living in, and I, amongst several other people that I speak to, have sort of had this funny sensation that something was gonna actually kick off for a little while. It just felt really odd, and unfortunately it's led to where we are now. So who knows what's around the corner, but I have a few ideas of what's going on, but like I say, we'll have to wait and see. I don't want to start trying to predict anything or anything like that. Excuse me. I've got a little bit of a cough, a bit of a dry throat, but hopefully it's not COVID or something, because pretty much know that that's all just the flu anyway. So what we'll do, we'll get started on the screen that you're looking at now. So this letter that we're doing now is what we in the Western world know as the letter O. As you can see up in the right hand corner, where we normally start off, the letter O. I'll give my video time to catch up because, like I say, there's a bit of a delay and buffering going on. So yeah, there you go, you can see that up the right hand corner there, and hopefully you can make out the writing here. Hopefully you can zoom in on that, or pause it and zoom in or something, hopefully. Anyway, the next one that we have here is what I call the Jewish modern Hebrew version of the AyiN, and you know, there's lots of division going on now, I think. People who are so stuck in their position, they either don't want to move any higher up or move across or to the side or the left. They're just so stuck and indoctrinated in whatever beliefs they have that you know, they just basically can't accept anything that is outside of their little world, really. But unfortunately that's not the way to carry on, because we are all, I mean, nobody's all-knowing. I'm not, definitely not all-knowing. I'm ignorant in a lot of things, and this one particular thing, I'm not completely. I think the word, the Jewish people through history have called it is Geonism. A Geonist. You can look that up, but it means you've got a full understanding of everything that the written word has ever had. I saw that in a book the other day, and there's a few other variations. One's to do with the written word, one's to do with the spoken word, and then you have combinations of the two, and it's all to do with the Mishnah, which is basically the law of the word, really. But not that I'm Jewish or anything. Don't, you know, people should know, if they've watched my videos now, that I don't classify myself into that category at all. I don't wear a little hat or a black cube on my head. I don't nod against the wall against a temple made of stone. If anything, I would classify myself into the category of a Hebrew, in the sense that I have crossed over from where I was before into where I am now. And you need to watch my previous video on that, earlier, back to near enough the beginning of when I started doing videos, and that will give you a clearer understanding of that. Anyway, I'm digressing and sidetracking, but let's move on. So the next one is the Roman in literary terms, I suppose you'd call it the Latin version, which is very much similar again to the O that we have in the Western script, and being as though we are in Roman rule at the moment, or pretty much near to a modern day version of Roman rule, complete with gladiators and centurions and everything, armed with modern swords and weapons. Next one's the Greek version of 0, and this one is called, I don't know whether you can see that there, it's probably a bit small, but it's called the Omicron, which again is the letter O that we're familiar with. And I haven't actually found the origin of the Ouroboros, but you know, it's a circle, and it may have come from the early Greek or ancient civilizations where they've you know, utilized the letter to form that, but I wouldn't like to say, but it just looks pretty much similar to the serpent eating its tail. But anyway, now we get into the more obscure sort of letters and symbols. This is the Nabatean Aramaic, kind of like shorthand script that they used about the time that the Saviour walked around. And next to that is the Palmyrian. Those are both from about 100 AD, so they call it. And then you have the Aramaic script that goes back a bit earlier than that, to 500 before the Saviour, and then you can see it again, it repeats the familiar circle of the O, and then it goes back one further than that, and it has the O with the dot in the middle, which represents the pupil. And we'll speak a bit more about that later on, hopefully, if I can remember. I haven't got any notes written, because I never really do. It's all off the top of my head and comes out as it comes out. So the next one is the Moabite and the Phoenician, which are pretty much just basically the same circle 0 O symbol. Then you have the Canaanite one, which starts off as the circular O, and then you have the one with the pupil in the center, and then we're getting back to more the basic originality of the actual symbol itself, which is more of an actual eye shape with the dot for the pupil in the middle, and that's about sort of 1500 to 2000, I'll use the term BC, but before the Saviour anyway. And then next to that we have the Paleo-Hebrew or Arbri ancient Semitic listings of that, and they're pretty much the same as the Canaanite ones. The round circle at the bottom, then the eye shape without the dot in it, and then the one similar to the Canaanite one, the earliest one, which shows the little curve of the pupil under it. Oops, I've knocked the camera. Oh dear, sorry about that. Good job I saw that before it goes off the page. and then I'm describing something that you can't see, which wouldn't be good. Make sure I got this right again before I carry on. Sorry about that. Apologies. Let me just move it back a bit. Move it over that way a bit. Sorry about this. We're in no hurry anyway, or I'm not. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not in any hurry at all. I'm fortunately one of those people who can still work over here in the UK, because I work outside. I don't know whether you know, but prior to my starting all this YouTube business, coincidentally I used to do carpentry and build stuff and things like that. But since after my accident, I started up doing garden work. So I basically am a gardener, and I mow people's grass and tend their gardens and things like that. So with the current state of things at the moment, I'm fortunate enough that I can still go to their houses, obviously staying outside, and keep the upkeep of their gardens going, because obviously with the whole world stopped, but the grass doesn't know that, and it just keeps growing. So I'm wandering again, sorry about that. Let's get into the Egyptian side of things, because we always tend to compare the two, because like I've said before, and anybody who hasn't watched the previous videos, Moses was versed in both. He was brought up in the royal household of Egypt, but he was also a Hebrew, so he knew both of this, all of this stuff. He knew Egyptian hieroglyphics, the laws of the Egyptians, the Mitzrites, and he also knew pretty much all there was to know about. I shouldn't think there's anybody who knew any more than him back in the time, but about the Arbri Hebrew, things that needed to be known. So what we have here at the top is the two eyes. Now we'll get into the I've got some tabs pulled up on the screen in a little bit, and we'll get into some of that in a minute, hopefully, after this. But you have two distinct halves of the face. Now if you imagine down here is where the nose is, right? But imagine this looking at it from, as you're looking onto a person. You have to imagine it looking onto a person. And at the top here you have, basically they're the same, two eyes. You can't tell the difference from these top ones. And coincidentally again, in the Egyptian language, the AyiN is spelt this way, with the outstretched arm, which is similar again to the Hebrew Yod, and then you have the N underneath, which is the representation of water, And that Egyptian word, this isn't a Hebrew word, this is a Egyptian word, and it means coincidentally to see, and that's the representative of these two eyes, to see. Sometimes you have just a singular eye and sometimes you have two eyes. Now that all changes when we get down to this part here, so I've found out. Now this imagery here that we're looking at, you have to imagine looking at it from the inside. So imagine you're behind the eyes looking out, where these ones can be from the front or whatever, but these ones are specifically as you would look out from being inside the head. So therefore this one on the left becomes the left eye, and you see this. Now we'll see in a little bit, I'll be able to pick up on a tab, hopefully I'll remember, the image of what they call the wadjet, which is always this pictured, the left eye, and that one represents, it's called the divine left eye, and it represents the moon and protection and good health, and it's also called the eye of Horus as well. Now the right eye, the divine right eye, which is called a Uchati, this one is the evil eye version, and this one represents the sun, you know, like the sun in the sky, as opposed to S-O-N. This is S-U-N, the atom that they got into later on. And this is where we get Ra from, because it's also known as the Eye of Ra. So now, like we always do, we compare the two because they are so intermixed and sort of coming from the same area of the world at the time. This is where we find the two different halves of the same thing. So their version of the right eye becomes the Eye of Ra, which Ra is the sun god, Ra is their god. So it's the Eye of Ra, the god of the Egyptians. But coincidentally, again, if you go into the paleo, and remember paleo goes from right to left, so we're reading from right to left, you have the R, which is, this is the kind of like the second version of the letter R, which looks like a flag pointing to the left. That represents the letter R, and then we have the AyiN, the one we're dealing with at the moment, next to it, to the left hand side of that. So you have Ra again, or actually Ray. It's like Ray, where there the Egyptians one is the evil sun god Ra, but the paleo one has the same paleo name, and it means evil, as you can see. So, you know, the paleo tells us all we need to know. We don't really need to know what these people thought about things, because we pretty much know that they are, man as God, and we know how that's going to end up. And next we have this one, which is a symbol of the mouth. Coincidentally, that's, I believe, is my next letter that I'm working on at the moment. There's only about 4 to go, and hopefully I'm going to get these finished before everything grinds to an even more of a halt. But so this one, I've coloured it in red, so it represents the mouth, and the name for mouth in Paleo is Ra again. So Ra means mouth in Paleo, and evil, and Ra in Egyptian means the god, because obviously their god spoke with his mouth, and he was the god and he was evil. So what we'll do now, we'll break down and get into this part of it. So we have the mouthful of grain. Now it all goes back to grain measurements of, like, oats, grain, wheat and tares up here, wheat measurements down here. So a wheat measurement was called a hekat, Heqat, and one mouthful of, they used to measure things in different ways to what we do nowadays, but a mouthful of grain as a measurement was called a row, R-O. I might not be pronouncing that right, but that's how it's spelt, so pronounce it how we think it should sound, I suppose, row. And there was 300, and these are just interesting facts while we're dealing with this I symbol thing that I thought might be interesting. So you have 320 mouthfuls of grain equates to 1 hekrat of measurement. And you can see under here I've given you the breakdown of how hekrat is spelt in Egyptian. It has this symbol here, which is like the shepherd's hook or crook, and then you have this little triangular shaped thing which represents Q in their language, and this little domed symbol here that represents a loaf of bread. And then you have like a drum with grain pouring out, and it means a grain measure. So a hekrat was a grain measure, because like when Joseph was running things down there in the famines and the 7 thin cows or 7 fat cows, prophetic dream interpretation thing, he was the one who stored up all the grain, and he would have stored it up in measurements of hekats. So there you go. And a grain measurement is actually where you get to the I symbolism again, because the I symbolism is actually composed of various lines and shapes that make up this I shape again. You can see there's a spiral there. We all know what that one means. But so remember, we're dealing with this divine left eye symbol for this one, not that evil eye version. This is the good version. So the eyebrow that we have at the top of both of those, but more so the left one, so the eyebrow, that represents 1/8 of a measurement of grain. Then we have this part here, which is like the what would you say that would be, the outside part of the eye. Bearing in mind they had makeup and it sort of extends out, that's why it's like that. I tried to match the picture in pen as much as I could from the source that I got it from. But you can find all this out online if you want to, and I encourage you, like I always do, to don't take what I say as anything, you know, serious, as serious as I can make it, but or as gospel. Then don't take it as gospel. Research for yourself and find out. It's all online and you can check this all out for yourself. So this external outward pointing part of the eye represents a 1/16. Then the eyeball itself, the actual pupil, the round P-shaped bit in the middle there, that represents a quarter of a measurement. The inside, remember, if you imagine the nose would be here, so this part of the white of the eye on the inside of the face represents a half in their Hecate grain measurements. Then what have we got next? Then we have this part here, the sinister looking spiral shape, which is actually represents a teardrop, and that actually represents the amount of 1/32, a 32nd part. This one here, the vertical pointing one here, represents 1/64th measurement, and that is like where the tears run down. That's what that represents. So that is all I've got on the actual breakdown of our modern day letter O from our alphabet, and so hopefully you gained a bit of understanding from that. Now I'm going to try and, sorry, I'm crunching a nut. Now I'm going to try and switch over on the screen to a few other things that I've got pulled up. Right, I can see the actual chat again now, so I'll do a couple of shout outs. Shalom Rebecca, hope you're well, and Jerry. I think we had a few other people in. Truth Always, if you're still in, and John. I'll just scroll back to the beginning so I don't miss anybody. Surf City, welcome to you as well. Thanks everybody for coming along and watching this next letter video in the Arbery Paleo Hebrew alphabet. I'm just reading the chat for a bit, so hopefully you guys are not in a hurry, and we'll just sort of carry on with this until we get to the end, if you don't mind. So what's the topic of convo at the moment? I so miss his fishing videos and the chickens. I'm assuming that's Casey, right? Yeah, I haven't spoken to him for about 2 weeks. Just before he went to the New Rochelle drive-through that he did. So I'm hoping that he's okay, but hopefully I'll speak to him in the not too distant future and check and see if he's okay. But he seems to be putting out quite a few videos, so I'm assuming he's just busy with that. There's, like I say, there's an awful lot going on, so I'm sure he'll always find stuff to cover anyway. Anything from toilet roll to movie breakdowns and whatever else, but I myself tend to try not to get too drawn into that kind of stuff, because I mean, there's enough on the news nowadays anyway, with everything that's going on. If you watch that, and I do just keep my eyes on it just to see what's going on. Now let me get the right one here. Video capture, I can turn that off, and now hopefully you should be able to see. Let me just check. You should be able to see my screen. Remember, it's buffering a bit, so hopefully we'll get that back in a minute. So I won't be able to read the chat for a minute because I'm not quite sure how to get that, but I think I'm good to go anyway. So hello there, MSHK 1979, welcome to the video, and thanks for coming along. Now we'll switch over to, here we go. Hopefully you can see that. I'm just going to check. Just bear with me while it does what it needs to do. I've got a few tabs open, so it may have a little bit of a delay. Good. There we go. Not as many as Casey normally has, but there we go. So, no, back. Here we go. So, as you can see again, this is what we've just been dealing with. Excuse me, I've got to get a drink. Excuse me. A nut went down the wrong hole. Oh dear. Good job I wasn't outside. I'd have people running a mile from me. So yeah, like from the right hand side you have the modern one, the modern Hebrew one. Then we have a late Hebrew one, which is like the Aramaic one. Then the Middle Hebrew, you can see here, just the one that resembles our O, and then there's the eyeball, the eye-looking one. And you can see it's AyiN is the name, and this is a page about AyiN, all the different. If you Google it, this is what you get, AyiN. So there you go. If you want to check that, just type in AyiN at the top here, and that's what you get for that. Now next, we've got the good old standard all-seeing one, like this one that maybe most of you guys used to seeing that on the back of your dollars, well, for the foreseeable time anyway. Over in England here, and this is probably going to come to you guys in the States, if you go in a store now, most of them, bearing in mind we've been on lockdown for like what is it now, a fortnight I think, fortnight into the supposed planned 6 months that they think we're going to have to stay locked down for. Anyway, if you go into a store now, to grocery store or whatever, there's not actually many stores open apart from grocery stores and like a garage, like a gas station. And the ones that are open, most of them have actually stopped handling cash, good old pounds for us people, and what would be dollars for you guys. So for all those preppers who went to the bank and pulled out all their money in paper money, it's probably going to be about as good as imaginary Bitcoin, because like I say, because of the supposed, in inverted commas, contamination that can be spread by handling coins and paper money, the people, the shop owners and the people who are working the shops are following orders obviously, and they don't want to actually have to deal with dirty money from dirty banks and dirty people. So they prefer you to actually pay by card, like debit card or bank card, credit card, whatever. And some of the banks have actually been sending out like notifications on the mobile devices to say that they've upped the actual amount that you can pay by what do they call it now? You don't have to actually enter the pin in, like your pin number. You can just scan it, like chip and pin, sort of hover the card over the reader thing, and it just automatically takes it. I forget the name, but you know what I mean. So yeah, that's probably all heading out, if it's not already there for you guys in America and wherever else you are. I know some of you are in Canada, and I don't know whether I've actually got many subscribers in England. I think there's a few, but I think most of the people are from the States, which is good, because I like to keep in touch with everybody. And as we know, there's good and bad in everybody, and in these days that we're in at the moment, where division is, he said he was coming back to divide people, and with a sword to divide. It's almost starting at the moment. The division is upon us. All manners of faiths and religion in general. Like I said before, touched on it before, everybody's so stuck in their paradigms that they just can't get out of it. Here we go. This is one that I was going to pick up on earlier on. So this one here is the Wadjet that we spoke of earlier on from the board, and more of a papyrus painted version rather than an amulet type of thing. There's, you know, man's just gone mad with it. You know, give man a pen and he'll do what he wants, and create what he wants, do as thou wilt stuff, and he's done it. It's everywhere. So there's that one. And next, where will we go next? Oh yes, as we said, it's everywhere. You know, there's a whole list of different stuff here. There's sacred geometry, one eye symbolism, there's owl eye symbolism, there's what have we got? Traditional Horus, mandala, you name it, they've got it. So here we go with the Hollywood version of the eye stuff, and they're all here. We've all seen it. Lionel Richie, Bono. You know, you can tell them by their fruits, really. I don't know whether all of these people, I mean, there's thousands, isn't there? Whether they all are up on what they're doing, or whether some are oblivious. I mean, Justin Bieber, he was like all innocent at one point, wasn't he? Supposedly. He's probably not innocent now. Repent while you still can. That applies to all of you people. If you're, I mean, not you guys listening, I mean, I'm talking to the screen here. All of you elite, famous, wealthy scumbags who've made this world your world. Good old Buzz. To infinity and beyond, eh, Buzz? Yeah. Okay. Well, you've got infinity. Damnation for eternity. Infinity and beyond. Ra 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 ra. I want a one eye. Yeah, you're going there as well. And you, Nana Nana Noo Noo, Celine Dion, you're off there as well. And it goes on and on and on and on. And Kevin, yeah, Minaj. Who have we got? There's so many. Anyway, is that? Oh, that's Harrison Ford, isn't it? And Will I Am. Well, you definitely are. You're going down to meet this person here, or this thing. So there's a few of those. You can see it's all Illuminati, Hollywood, black eye symbolism, C and I. It's everywhere. For anybody who has an eye to see, I mean, I'm literally just. I've banged my head against the wall so much trying and wake people up. You know, even with what's going on now in this world, you can show them this all day long and they just say, well, they just looking through their eyes like sunglasses, or, you know, oh my God, if there was one, and he is theirs, you know, don't they have eyes to see? Obviously, though, like the title of the video, they only have, their eyes are not single, they're looking through both of them, and their eyes are dark. think that was. Oh, and then you've got the black eye things here. You know, this is obviously where poor old Pope Francis has obviously been looking at the stars, trying to see his way through the firmament and see if he can see the Mars rover, and he's hit his eye against the Lucifer telescope, and so is she, and Boy George, I think that is, and Mr. Iron Man there, Rihanna. Oh dear, who's that one? Don't know. Anyway, after a while it all becomes like you have to get yourself out of it, because it's like wallowing in a muddy puddle. So then I thought I'd have a look at buildings and things that resemble eyes as well, because you know, they just can't help themselves. You have this one here, which is, and you know, I've done all this work here. Look, Dubai. I've been building it for years. Look, this eyeball shaped thing in Dubai for the Expo 2020, like a big eyeball facing up to the sky. You know, I don't know what this looks like. Some sort of Egyptian amulet wing shaped thing, or something from Prometheus or something. And this one, there's another one. Oh, it's the same park, I believe. It says Dubai Expo. There it is, lit up at night time. Very colourful, isn't it? Lovely. Think of the amount of people that probably would have gone to that. I don't know whether, I don't follow sport or expo or whatever it is, whether there's fireworks going off, so maybe it's been and gone. They probably would get their stuff done before the lockdown, I suppose. What else have we got? Oh yeah, the Oculus, just round the corner from the copper vessel. See my previous video on that one. I never did a video on the Oculus, but I think Casey did one. I remember there was a woman who threw herself off the top of this early on, after it opened, I believe, near the site of the World Trade Center, Ground Zero. Oh, there we go, we found out what it is. It's the UAE Pavilion at Expo 2020. I think this is like a computer generated of what it's supposed to be like when people are going to be walking around it. Obviously that's not going to happen if they don't let us all go, let my people go. On that very subject, I will be doing a video, hopefully within the next week, about Let My People Go. If you didn't see the one I did a little while back, I'm hopefully going to be doing something, working on it at the moment, about the Pesach, the Passover, and the coming out of Egypt, Mitzrayim. So that's all we've got, I think, on buildings that look like eyeballs, the eye symbology and imagery. Oh, save the best for last, eh? There we go. Good old Naomi Campbell, an equivalent of egg stains, Little St James, but I don't know where this actually is, but you know, need I say more? if you've got that sort of money and you can do that, surely you can do some good rather than doing some, you know, offering to Egypt. But after all, they are the gods of Egypt, so it's probably what they would do. This bears an uncanny resemblance to the Dead Sea of my previous video, if you remember that one. Looks almost like a little Egyptian child sitting there with a red crown on the top, doesn't it? And their little kneeling knees, and their arm with like a lotus branch sticking out. Who knows? Anyhow, I wonder if she still looks like that. And that Nubian princess, as if with a Russian billionaire friend. Okie dokie. Right, now I think I can close that one, and then I'm gonna just nip over to this one. Where was it? Yeah, so I can close that. I'm gonna close that, the screen will go off, and then I will just go into this one and I need to go up here so I can show you a few of Casey's videos concerning the eye that I've got saved in my playlists. I won't play them, but you know, you can all see the titles here, and if you haven't actually watched them, I may just click on it just so you can get the
Now let's zoom back.
Idea of what we're looking at. This was the video that he did on the IRS building, which was I can't remember where it was now. Anyway, check that video out if you haven't already. That's one eyeball. Then you got this one here, what's really under New York City Eye of Ra-Mau, if you haven't seen that one. And that's pretty much it, I think. Obviously then he's done some videos in his body codes series, which I think are further up here. There we go. Series number 1, the body code. Eyes, the truth is beneath your skin. That's this one here. All about the eyes and the crossing over and the flood and the 40 days and the Exodus. 10 plagues, there's 42 generations, there's so much stuff going on in that one. It's too much to try and remember, to be honest. Actually, you have a mental overload trying to remember all this stuff. So that being said, I think that's pretty much all I've got for it now. I'm back in the chat, so let's have a look. See what's going on. Mark 621000 was timed out. Oh dear. What was he saying? View deleted message. Oh, that's not very nice. See, unforgivable. Oh right, yeah. I've seen him before, Rebecca. Like I was saying, people are so stuck in their paradigms and content being on the first few rungs of their ladder, Jacob's ladder, as I call it, and they just can't climb up any higher. And, you know, if you're at the bottom of the ladder and the fire starts, you're going to get your feet burnt. That's all I can say. Best get some knowledge and wisdom and understanding and climb up a bit higher, is all I can say. Ask him for it and he'll show you, if your heart's in the right place and your intentions are honest and righteous. Can I get an amina to that? Oh well. Well, I'm glad I finally got this video done, and like I say, I'm working on a few other different things to hopefully get done within the next week or so, keep up with all your good works, and looking out for each other, and look up, because the redemption draws nigh, I am sure, because it can't carry on, it can't get much worse really, can it? Anybody who just on a side note, I've been posting some like little short videos, clips that I've been getting from mainstream media on my community post, and if anybody hasn't seen it, check out my community post, because there's one I posted today. Did you see that, Rebecca? You normally see what I'm posting. Did you see the one with the Azazel goats rampaging through a Welsh village on April the 1st? Unbelievable. And there was another bit of I'm sure it must got to be a April the 1st mockery and trickery, but does anybody remember Rick Astley? He was like a British singer about 25 years ago. They found him somewhere and brought him to the fore to push a bit of their fake agenda rubbish, and bless his soul, he's going to be doing a concert in October, but you won't have to be doing the social distancing there, because there's going to be only probably 1 or 2 people at his concert anyway, so good luck with that one, Rick. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it at that, and thanks everybody for watching. Thanks Jerry, yes, thanks for turning up, and thanks MSHK. I tried to do my best. All praise to the Most High for all of his protection and blessings that he's giving to those who are truly putting all their faith in him rather than a man, whoever it is, man or woman. They come in all shapes and sizes nowadays. They all have a voice, and they all think we're the ones who should be following their lead, but I'm not one of those. I only follow one, and he's not here yet. Yeah, there you go, Rick Astley, Ra. Yeah, maybe I'll do a follow-up single with Gaga or something. Rick Roll. Oh, is Rick in? He was subscribed to me a little while back, but I haven't seen him for a while. He's fairly busy flying around everywhere. He's got more spanners than a snap-on guy. Or you call them wrenches, don't you? But yeah, Rick the wrench guy. Good on you, Rick. I can't do the wrench much more. Too much drama, man. I can't do that. Too much division. I'll wait till he comes back with the SWORD S word. Anyway, I'm out. I'll speak to you later on the next video. Oh. Anyway, I've got to go because somebody's calling from downstairs, so catch you next time. Shalom, everybody, and all praise the Most High. Thank you. Blessings.